But this is about them making a point, and it's clearly going to do so, isn't it? No, Owen, what do you make of it?
We're now discussing on national television the fact that these underground stations allegedly have a bullying manager who presides over a workplace environment so toxic that he's driving huge numbers of workers to lose a day's pay because of how awful and serious the conditions are at work. Nobody goes on strike for a laugh. I'm sorry, I know there's this idea popularised that striking is this thing done on a whim. You lose a day's pay. It's extremely, therefore, inconvenient for the worker. And the fact is, if we don't want them to go on strike, then we should deal with the fact that there is a management operating who has driven people to such desperation that they're willing to lose a day's pay in order to do something about it. And more broadly, you just made the point about how well tube drivers are paid. Absolutely right. They are well paid. That's not an advert for not striking. That's an advert for striking. The reason they have good pay and good conditions is because they fought for them. Now, the argument that people like Christo often make is it's a race to the bottom, that you should be angry, not at the fact that you're not paid properly, but that other workers are paid more than you. When the actual argument should be that because we have a low strike society, we have a low pay economy. The fact that we have record numbers of people at the moment in work poverty, most people in poverty in Britain are in working households, they earn their poverty day after day, is because the unions were smashed in this country. And because the unions were smashed, we don't have trade unions strong enough in much of the economy to be able to get a fair slice of the pie, because the wealth's created by the workers, to the workers themselves. If other people went on strike, like the tube drivers, and fought, they'd get good terms and conditions and wages.
I think we have to say, though, people always bring out the tube driver's salary, don't we? We're not just talking about tube strikers here, tube drivers. Presumably, we're talking about
cleaners,
the people at the ticket office, the cleaners, everyone who works within those stations.
On low pay.
And, of course, nationally.
Do you think they're doing it on a whim, as Owen said?
I think that they are too quick to want to strike, firstly. I find your argument so painfully predictable that, the argument to if you're frustrated by this strikes is that we should all join a union, be in this communist utopia where the dead go unburied, where none of us actually turn up for work. The national strike that looks like it might well be happening on all these different rail companies.
So this is a separate strike, isn't it? That the RMT is balloting 40,000 of its rail workers, over 15 operators and Network Rail. So this could happen over summer, this ballot on Tuesday.
Because heaven forbid we should all be in it together when it comes to the huge amount of inflation that we have. No. They want a 10% pay rise. And again, they will inconvenience everyone. Yet, however, I wouldn't mind that so much if we had a decent service from them half the time when they are working, but try and get a train on a Sunday. How many times do we hear... Let me just finish. How many times do we hear that on a Sunday, there's a staff shortage, there isn't a train running, because they're staying in bed and they don't want to come in?
No, that's because we have a privatised railway where they could hire more people to actually work at a weekend or give them an earnings premium.
Oh, yeah, because heaven forbid the people who work there already should work on the weekend.
You're talking about a communist utopia. We live in a free market dystopia where all of society is rigged in favour of bosses who make huge amounts of money. The point about inflation is a really important point. What you're talking about inflation is prices rising much more than people's wages. So in real terms, people's wages are falling. That means people lie awake at night staring at the ceiling, panicking because they can't even bring themselves to open their unopened energy bill. It means skipping hot meals to feed their kids. Those people often are in work. Now, if more people went on strike, which is a basic thing in a democratic society, by the way. You talk about a communist dystopia, and the Stalinist, in those Stalinist economies you're talking about, they banned the right to strike. You're talking actually far more closely to what happened in the Soviet Union than I am. They banned independent trade unions. They banned the right to strike. What we have in this country, even though the right to strike has been massively infringed upon by the government, in a democracy, workers have the right to withdraw their labour to get better terms and conditions and better wages. That is the difference between this country and what you're talking about, which is the former Soviet Union, a practice you actually want to introduce.
Maybe I'm closer to this than I think then, because I say fire them all, automate all the trains, and let's go for it.
Let's have a listen to what the good people of this country...